I'm starting right now. Let's go. Hello, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and this is the ohmTown Daily News Show for September 11th, 2022. It's just shy of 6 o'clock, and I start the show at 6 o'clock. But I decided to start a little bit early. No real reason. If you show up, thank you very much for coming. If you don't, thank you very much for at least knowing that I exist. And there's the podcast and the YouTube channel that you can view this. And I am now storing the VODs for 60 days over on Twitch as well. I'm still not partner. I'm actually paying for the privilege. But if you dig this and want to hang out more, don't be shy. Click that. Well, it's down there or over there. It's somewhere on the screen. Anyway, follow me so that this hits 100. That would move this needle a little bit more forward. I am still, working full time. Nature of the beast. Got to put food on the table. ohmTown.com is a news aggregation site. Grabs a bunch of news, throws it into a bunch of channels. All of them are under these 6 main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Sometimes they're quiet channels, I don't go over everything that I filter. This was actually started because I just got burnt out hopping from one place to another to consume news. And I kind of I consume a lot of news. Nature of the beast for my domain, so I'm really interested in a broad spectrum of things focusing primarily on the crossroads of business, technology, and society. That all said, let's get into the news. Not much news, by the way. Again, it's Sunday. Oh my gosh, it's Sunday already? It is Sunday. It's also September 11th, so a lot of the news is focused on, at least in the United States, September 11th. The attacks on September 11th and kind of reliving that. So, can't really say much. Wish it never happened. And depending on which side of the fence that you are on, there are people that are cheering or grieving over the event. And it's a shame that even exists as a sentence, but it does. But let's get into the news. I just can't say anything about it. Other than it's a horrible thing that took place. I could say a whole lot more if it was necessary, but I would suspect that people that are going to be downloading this podcast and listening to me and watching it either on YouTube, which really doesn't happen all that much. Go and check it out. There isn't that much viewership there. But again, I don't really hype myself up anywhere. But I suppose the people that are paying attention to me aren't the sociopaths that are necessary to do something as horrible as flying planes into buildings and innocent people. So, and they regardless of what somebody might say, they are truly innocent people. Every last one of them, even if somebody might be able to say that a person within the building was responsible for the reason why they did that. No, you're a wingnut. Anyway, and you're probably not listening to me anyway. So, at any rate, the first article is over in the Tabletop Nights channel. This is really dedicated to RPG tabletop gaming. And not just RPG tabletop gaming, but RPGs and tabletop gaming in person, face to face. I'm playing Dice Throne to the point where I like the Series 2 so much that I ended up buying Series 1 remaster in its new design, which I really do dig, and also the Marvel version of it. So I really dig Dice Throne. It's a lot of fun. Just enough mechanics to keep everybody busy and paying attention. Although, I mean, there's some games where you play and 6 out of the 8 people can just kind of drop off the radar until it's their turn. Anyway, Tabletop Nights is the channel. Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, depending on if you've watched their video or not. Ultimately, they don't care. Ubisoft, and there's a typo in this. This is really funny. It's not from me. It's from the aggregator. Grabbing what the publisher actually has. I wonder if they've corrected it, and now the URL is going to break. I have not updated anything. It is what it is. Anyway, Ubisoft teases open-world Assassin's Creed RPG set in feudal Japan with codename Red. Let's click the link. Did they correct it? No, they didn't even correct the title itself, let alone correct the article itself. Wow, that's... Yo, RPG site. RPGsite.net is the source. Adam Vitale is the... Vitale? It might be Vital, but anyway. Adam Vitale is the author of this. During today's Ubisoft Forward live event, Ubisoft revealed Assassin's Creed codenamed Red. This says that it was on September 11th. That's when it was published, but I watched the Ubisoft Forward live event. I don't think that it was today, but okay. At any rate, Ubisoft revealed, maybe I was wrong and I didn't pay attention, but I'm subscribed to them and I don't think that I got a notice. I don't know. I'll move on. Considering it's 6 o'clock, maybe I missed something. So the future of Ubisoft's open world RPG games on Assassin's Creed is that it's going to be an open world kind of perpetual space. I think it's going to be pretty amazing if it is. I've played Assassin's Creed hit or miss since its release in various times, but I would love for it to be open world, perpetual, dynamic. 2023's mainline entry in the franchise, the newly announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, is more of an action-adventure title like the earlier games in the series. Codename Red will seemingly follow more like the recent RPG entries in Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Codename Red will also be part of an upcoming Assassin's Creed Infinity Hub, which is described as a single entry point for our fans into the Assassin's Creed franchise into the future. Wow, that's a lot of intos. There's 3 in this. A single entry point, which it would be kind of funny, into point, for our fans into the Assassin's Creed franchise into the future. Wow, okay. Back off with the intos. They post a trailer. I won't play the trailer. You can go over and check it out, but something new for Assassin's Creed fans. An RPG extension set into the feudal Japan time frame. Codename Red. Go check it out. Oh, and before I go too far. Oh, man. I think ohmTown needs a dark mode. The black screen. I'll work on it. Maybe I can flip that. I had it at one point as a dark mode, but I think that it just broke something. Let's see if I can get it fixed. The next article is in the Aerith channel, and it's a storybook world-building kind of environment. At one point, I had planned on donating to anybody who subscribes to the Aerith space a world within the Aerith omniverse, which is quite massive. Aerith is a storybook world that I write in, but haven't released anything about. And that's for when that channel spins up and becomes an active thing. I just don't have anything ready. That said, this article was funneled into that channel, and it's Tron Identity, a new visual novel from Disney and Bithell Games, coming to Steam in 2023. The author of this says, "Folks, I adore Tron Legacy. That's the author saying this. The 2010 sequel to the classic original Tron sports a wholly unique visual style and remains an audiovisual treat to this day, thanks to no small part Jacek Kosinski's superb direction and Daft Punk's phenomenal score. So they're really excited that Disney and Bethel Games have announced Tron Identity, a visual novel set in the Tron universe. I think it's awesome too. I would pay big money to see and play in the Tron universe. That world is spectacular. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, so if you are listening to this as a podcast or sometime later on, you will not care what I'm about to say, but you really should. Brildane is in my channel, and Brildane, I saw you. I never really picked your brain about what you do, but you're in the same channel that I am in, Dunkster's channel, and I go to your channel when I can get to your channel. You have a different time frame of existence than I do, and I saw you on my big screen. I did not know that you are tied into a particular game. Am I allowed to say things? Am I allowed to talk about it? Right? If I drop that name, will it? Because it is what I think, right? Yeah, it's made public. It's Skull and Bones, right? Yeah. So I've never picked your brain. I won't do it on my channel. I think that it's not for me to do, and I don't know exactly what role you play in all of that. But you were highlighted, so awesome. Good for you. So go over to Brildain's channel, Brildain, over on Twitch. That's pretty much where I know everybody anyway. So go check them out. She has great icons. The emotes are just awesome. Yes, as a matter of fact, when I saw you, that's exactly what I did. Oh man, I'm gonna have to reveal a little bit much, but like I turned to my wife and I was like, oh my God, I know her. I wanted, and she's like, can you pause and rewind? And I'm like, nope, it's streaming. So, yeah, I was actually streaming the presentation on a big screen and I'm like, whoa, small world, really tiny space, man. That's just spectacular. Anyway, so congratulations. I hope that you reap the reward from that game and your efforts. So, at any rate, let's here. I'll keep moving forward. There was somebody else in the channel, and I think they just went facepalm and said, "Oh my gosh, this guy and his hero worship." So, anyway, awesome. Congratulations. I'll just click the link and shut up. So, Peter Treisenberg over at RPGFan.com wrote this article, and I'm really into Tron. I watched the original. Oh, if I say this out loud, it's going to date myself. So I watched when it dropped. I've watched it multiple times over the years. I've watched the remake more times than I probably should. And anything that would be set in this world would be spectacular. So I would love it to be. A lot of people are kind of getting burnt out on MMOs and open world kind of things. But this ultimately has a massive world building experience to run around in. And so I would love to be able to build in a virtual space like Tron. It's kind of like the original Matrix, without whatever that last Matrix was. And we'll just treat that like we do Star Wars stuff. And there's only 3 Star Wars movies in existence. and it's not all the modern versions of it. So, Bithell Games is billing Tron Identity as a puzzle game interspersed with dialogue-heavy sequences reminiscent of the studio's other games, such as The Solitaire, Conspiracy, and Subsurface Circular. And because times move faster in the world of the grid than it does in our own, Identity's story is set many hundreds of years after the events of Legacy, and the grid's digital society has evolved tremendously. So, Disney is making themselves known recently. Well, I guess they have to change the dynamic. I mean, they were getting kind of beat up with their messaging and kind of falling short in some people's eyes periodically. So I guess they have to flex, and that's fine with me. I dig Disney because of the way that their business operates. They really take advantage of adding future stars into their already entrenched stars existence, and then they break them off onto their own shows. And every single one is a person who is taken under the wing of Disney as a rising star becomes skilled in multiple things. And my understanding is that they really do grow them into the star that they're going to be. They use their innate skills and then enhance them with teaching and opportunity and all kinds of stuff. And as society changes, so do they. So I'm glad that they're growing. They're the nature of Disney is growing. It's not just being a silo of the old school thinking of things. So this next article is over in the Continuity Report. Multiverse Avengers Campus Ride announced at Disneyland. Starting soon, Marvel fans will be able to take a ride through the multiverse. A new Avengers Campus attraction is heading to Disneyland in Anaheim, California, allowing park-goers to journey through the MCU's many, many universes. I'm surprised that this isn't being spun up in Disney World, but after what Florida kind of did a little falcon punch to Disney World, changing their zoning after a contract or an agreement was made, I'm not surprised that they would spin something up at Disneyland. But with the cost of existence in California is much higher than in Florida. So Wilson Chapman is the author of this over at Variety.com. And let's see if there's a thing here. It says the news was announced on Sunday at the D23 Expo's Parks panel, which featured Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro and the Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige. Or Feige, sorry, I keep pronouncing that. According to D'Amaro, the ride, which does not have an official opening date, will see parkgoers team up with the Avengers from multiple universes to defeat King Thanos, a version of the character that won at the end of the 2019 film Avengers Endgame. And because of the multiverse, there's different everything, really. Different Spider-Man, different Thanoses. Thani? What is the plural for Thanos? I'm going to go with Thani. I like that one better. Pretty much multitudes of everything. Which plays really well into, I'll go on to the next link, but I'm going to show you something here. So I'm really into time and time travel, the science and science fiction of it. I even created a channel called Temporology, which is supposed to focus on that, which would be really great for that type of show to talk about the Marvel MCU. Thanos was such an amazing nemesis as building. Yeah, and he's a Titan, and Titans come from our solar system, the moon, Titan. I think that's pretty interesting, right? How come we don't know about them? They should be out there right now. Get your binoculars, telescope. I don't know. Anyway, so the Multiverse Avengers Campus Ride will be coming to Disneyland in California. So if you're gonna pick a park, that's where you're gonna go to experience it. This next article, Brilding. You'd call him a bad guy, but was he? Well, in the grand scheme of things, right? I always say this in my show when I'm talking about something that's politically tilted. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter, and so it's really hard to say who a bad guy is if you are honest about the discussion. But if you are honest about which side you are on, he eliminated 50% of everything that was alive, so I'd say that he was a bad guy. Because, and it was arbitrary based on what I've read, the concept of the snap. Right. But it was one person making the decision for half of existence, right? I don't know. That is always going to be a point of discussion in circles. You know, in society, in discussions about society and people doing things with the best of intent, but is it really for them to make that decision? And that will always be a discussion. So yeah, in my circles, I have that kind of conversation periodically, because some people say that ends justify the means. For instance, stealing, right? If you steal for food, is it wrong? Well, if you have to survive by stealing, it's not wrong for you, but it's wrong to everybody else who is working to pay for the food, and you're stealing from that person, so they aren't making as much money for them to support their family, right? So there's a lot of socio-economic, even psychological discussions based around this idea of the ends justifying the means. And there's great conversation to be had there, but I want to spend more time talking about these things, but I always want to get through this news too. Because there's more here, so let me do that, and let's see if we can talk more. So this next article is in the Daily News Show. As small businesses raise prices, some customers push back, and it says inflation isn't only costing small business money. True. So let's go over to the source of this. This is at ABC News. They do everything through go.com. I don't really care for that, but May Anderson, who's an AP business writer, writes the title of this, which is as small businesses raise prices, some customers push back. Inflation isn't only costing small businesses money, which I'll front load this, as this is where there is always in my shows now kind of a no shit news. Yeah, we understand that inflation isn't only costing small businesses money. It's hurting individuals a whole lot more than it's hurting small businesses. At the Bushwick Grind Cafe in Brooklyn, New York, Kim Williams Davis has raised prices and switched to different types of goods to keep up with the rising costs of milk, coffee, paper goods, and plastic, as well as shortages of items such as paper cups, plastic lids. She hasn't experienced anything like this since opening in 2015. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to continue. So it says here that inflation has been rising at nearly the fastest pace in 40 years, driven up by strong consumer spending and higher costs for food, rent, medical care, and other necessities. But it isn't about strong consumer spending. Consumers will spend, not because it's increased, it's because they have to. So it isn't about consumer spending raising prices. It's about the suppliers, something that I have been driving home again and again and again. When you look at the base cost for products at the manufacturer's level, it's increasing. And that means that everybody who takes those raw materials, primarily gas and wheat, those two are leading the charge in the overall cost of inflationary trends, because as fuel in particular raises the price, every product that requires getting from point A to point Z ends up having to cost more because gas is going up in price. Well, so much blowback has come from the public that gas prices are dropping, and all of those "I did that" Biden stickers here in the United States basically amount to a bunch of BS marketing hype to try and drive a wedge between regular Joes that just need to fill up the damn tank. So the reality is, it is the manufacturers of goods that are raising their prices, and then everybody else has to foot the bill more and more and more and more as these prices increase. And it isn't because consumers are spending more, because consumers are just spending. It's the objective of businesses to produce goods at the rate commensurate with consumption by consumers. Why that would raise rates suddenly in 2022 post-pandemic really amounts to straight up greed. Is there a lot of money in the system? Absolutely. So the Fed is raising the rates, and other countries are raising their rates if they're part of the global banking system. It is the nature of things. But to sit there and waylay consumer spending as the cause, that's disingenuous. Overall, economists forecast consumer prices rose by 8.1% in August compared with a year ago, down from 8.5%. I think there's some math going on here. The consumer price index continues to climb, and it isn't down. It is just lower than a year ago, going from July into August. It was 8.5. This time it's just 8.1. So it's not necessarily increasing as fast as last year, but I'll have to look at the data because I didn't come into this stream thinking I'm going to be doing economics discussion, but I didn't look at the CPI between this year or last month and the pending value for this month. The same thing happens around the world. In a given country, there is a consumer price index. And maybe we can start comparing that kind of stuff. Off to work, Brildane, huh? Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Go crush it. Seems like you're doing that. So I'll see you probably maybe tonight. It really depends on if I can get into the channel tonight. But you take care of yourself, and thanks again for coming, and congratulations again. Ciao. My stream isn't ending though, so if you are in my chat, stick around. Got about 4 more or 5 more articles to go through. Yep, cheers. For much of the pandemic, small business customers were largely tolerant of price increases and kept on spending, but now owners say they're seeing some pushback. Well, hell yes. Because we were actually marketed, support your small business, support your local small business. And now we're supporting the small businesses, but when prices are increasing by 25% because everybody can't make their ends meet, kind of punishing your local consumer is going to be akin to welcoming them into your house by punching them in the throat. Nicole Miskelly, who manages PMR, an auto and diesel repair shop in Marion, Illinois, said that she's seen customers delay repairs that aren't urgent, such as scheduled maintenance or getting new tires. Yeah, because we're hoping that on the other end of this, greed is going to bow out eventually, but that's not what we're seeing, actually. Although the price of gas has dropped dramatically. Every single day I see local gas prices, actually nationwide gas prices, drop by 2 pennies, 3 pennies, which is significant. It is. Even while oil is fluctuating. I see gas prices still dropping. Why? Because, for lack of a better phrase, the greedy bastards already have sucked as much money out of our pockets with their vacuum as possible. Maybe I'm biased, I'm not sure. So let's just keep on supporting our small businesses where we can, when we can, but don't sacrifice food on the table to buy more expensive food from a local supplier just so that you can support them. If it puts you out entirely, then you're not making either personal survival sense or economic sense for you and your family and your longevity. You need the runway just as much as a small business does. But if you feel compelled to support them, then so be it. Support them. The next article is in the Marble channel, and it is falling gas prices give Democrats a sense of optimism for November. Something that, well, it kind of riffs off of that last article in that I was talking about the gas prices dropping. I did not tie these together when I selected them, but it says weeks of falling gas prices are dulling what previously been a sharp Republican weapon, giving Democrats another glimmer of hope ahead of the midterm elections. By the way, in the United States, the reserve fuel and oil is at an all-time low over the last 40 years. Yet gas prices are dropping. The OPEC plus nations are increasing their deliveries of 100,000 barrels plus per day. And so the price isn't going up, it's just fluctuating somewhere around $100. Even with the war, well, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia and Russia turning off. Oh man, look, what a stupid look I had on my face just now. My video froze, and I think it's my video card is about to fail, but don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. But it sucks that my video freezes periodically. Just makes me look really doofy when I make that little ooga sound with my face. Anyway, if you're on the podcast, if that doesn't motivate you to come over and hang out with me here on Twitch and YouTube, I don't know what does, really. I mean, it's magic. At any rate, so that's the real impact right now. You know, it was greed all along causing the prices to increase because the conflict is still going on. There's still pressure on Europe to do what Russia wants all of Europe to do, which is bow out of supporting Ukraine. India is still doing its thing, turning off exports of wheat and other things. And so really, what was the cause of all of this? What really was the cause of all of these spectacularly high gas prices and product prices? If nothing has changed, yet the prices are dropping in certain places and for certain things. Greed. It's the fear of missing out in the long term by extracting as much blood from a stone as could be extracted. Well, where is everybody now? Are they out there scraping off the Let's Go Brandon stickers? Because the gas prices have been plummeting. Since hitting a peak of 502 in average across the country in June, well, here in the States, it's like $3 and, well, you know what? I actually keep that live open right now. It's, let me refresh it because it was yesterday when I last looked at it. It's $3.71 right now in the United States. It was bordering in some places in California at $7 a gallon. It's now at $5.39. So there's still some greed out there. There's still some greed out there. And most of the financial burden on gas isn't because of the oil prices. It is the taxes by the state themselves, not even the federal government. It's the state itself charging a lot of tax. So are people really pissed off about the state? Well, not if you're in another state, because there's some states that don't really care. They don't have that much of a tax, but their price is still $3 and over $3 a gallon. But a lot of it is still a state tax, not federal. Federal is like 19 cents. Let's click the link. This is over at the Hill. Sorry, there we go. Falling gas prices give Democrats a sense of optimism. Rachel Frazin, I think it is, Frazin, might be Frazin. Anyway, so yeah, gas is still falling. Nobody's out there scraping off their "Let's go, Brandon, I did this" stickers. Nobody's apologizing. Nobody's saying, "Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, now I realize that the federal government really doesn't do jack to private industry costs, except give taxpayer dollars to the industry for whatever reason." Record profits during the pandemic, year after year. Yet we subsidize, arguably to keep the prices low. You know what would drive everybody over to electric really fast? Killing those subsidies and making the industry support itself. Everybody would pivot over to EV in a heartbeat. You're going to have to anyway, because California and Washington and I think Virginia is now all moving away from combustion engines. You're not allowed to purchase a combustion engine in those 3 states by, I think, 2035, something like that, 2034. Or maybe it's 2025. Wouldn't that be amazing? Let me see something. That's 2035. I was right. Yeah, they want to ban the sale of new gas-powered cars in 2035, starting, I think, in 2025. So, at any rate, it's gas prices are still up from relatively high, is what the article says, up from 56 cents a year ago. So yeah, it's quite high in terms of the costs. Some people argue, well, if you stuck to inflation, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not like it's a fixed good and a finite amount is available, and as it's getting consumed, the price goes up. Every year, it should just be whatever it is that they are charging for that time frame. And inflation, there is no time value of money here for this. A dollar today is a dollar today. If you were to invest it 40 years ago, that's a different animal because it's invested somewhere. But this is gas, a consumable. It shouldn't be going up because the cost of the product to make is X in that year. You can always apply inflation, though. Sure. Let's move on. The next article, because there's not really much to say about this. Gas prices are falling. So this next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Airline CEO under fire for a pay bump. $2.1 million salary after flight cancellations left thousands of passengers stranded in Bali. Qantas CEO Alan Joyce received a $287,000 pay raise over the past year. Company documents show the CEO and other top execs were not awarded cash bonuses, bringing his base salary to $2.1 million. The airline stranded 4,000 passengers in Bali last week after a series of flight cancellations. Shocking. If I were to strand 4,000 of my customers in a nation that they weren't intended to be stranded in, I don't think that I would still be the CEO, but I guess this person's untouchable. Hannah Towie over at businessinsider.com writes this article. Last week, 4,000 passengers. I don't care if this was already planned and executed on X day. There should be a rider in there that says something akin to, if you strand 1,000 people in a given year, you don't get a pay raise or anything other than maybe termination papers. But it says the payout generated renewed pushback against the airline executive, whose $19 million mansion was pelted with eggs and toilet paper earlier this summer after the airline canceled one of its 1 in 12 flights in June alone. Quote, "It's shameless that while thousands of people are stranded in Bali and everywhere else, he gives himself a massive payday," Australian Labor Senator Tony Sheldon told local media outlets, calling Joyce's salary offensive as all hell. I agree. It's disgusting. It's reprehensible. It's astonishing that a human being who's you have to be sociopathic. This is what I keep saying. You have to be sociopathic to sit there and say that this is commensurate with your experience or commensurate with your performance. Boot the person out. Kick them. Blink. They just added yeet to the dictionary. Let's yeet them right out of office. Qantas did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment sent outside normal Australian operating hours, but a spokesperson told The Guardian that Joyce's total pay package includes future share value estimates and is, quote, "not an accurate figure of what he got paid," end quote, noting that his salary is 77% below pre-pandemic levels. They stranded 4,000 people in Bali. It should be 100% below pre-pandemic levels. Let's move on. The next article is Pincushion Little Raiders in a tower defense from the director of Hitman Go. They've gone solo. Whoa, what's going on here? My computer froze again. And it is my browser. Not my browser, it's my GPU. I've been tracing it. I see a little drop in performance and everything freezes for a second. But when I stop streaming, and I stop using the GPU as the the hardware acceleration for streaming, everything's cool. Anyway, Isle of Arrows is a neat, clean tower defense that hit Steam this week. I think it was released on the 8th. And though it's styled minimally, the author had to resist the temptation to call it little because it's pretty beefy once you get stuck in. It's a solo developed program by Daniel Lutz, who previously worked as creative director on Hitman and Lara Croft Go at Square Enix Montreal. So I actually was told about this in a different way. I found it by my aggregator, but not this article, and had already taken a look at this. And then I was scrolling through the last 24 hours, and lo and behold, it popped up. We should talk about this because this is pretty neat. It has a great mechanic, but I have it in my shopping cart at Steam, but I haven't purchased it yet. Jonathan Bolding over at PCGamer.com is the author of this, and it says, developer Lutz, Daniel Lutz, has gone solo, and the product is pretty neat. So, Isle of Arrows takes more inspiration from tile placement than traditional tower defense. Rather than emphasizing upgrades, it emphasizes planning and careful positioning. You see, as you go through the game, you actually get more tiles to add on to your game. At the same time, it has a low-key commitment of good mobile game. You make smart decisions to win, but it's heavily influenced by what kind of cards you get and when. It's a try and try again kind of game that might make good for when you're tired or distracted by something else. It's pretty casual in its nature. Each wave you get a random tile to place on your island. It might be something to extend the tower path. It might be a tower to attack, or a tile like a garden or statue that gives you a bonus of some kind. And you can also pay money, which you can get more of each turn to place the next drawn tile, and so on and so forth, according to the article. I haven't played it yet. I will I'm going to be, as soon as I'm done here, I will smash that purchase button. It's like $11 over on Steam right now, on sale from, I think, 14 or 15. I'm not sure. I don't think does this article actually say? Let me scroll a little bit more. It says $13, so Yeah, you save like $1.50 or something like that if you buy it now. And finally, the last article, and this is one of those ones that is kind of soapboxy in nature. So let's just get into it. And I'll get into it and out of it really fast here. So during an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation, moderator Margaret Brennan noted that Jackson received $42 million from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, last year, adding that President Biden stressed during the signing of the bill the importance of preventing a reoccurrence of water crisis in cities such as Jackson and Flint. So the context of it in Flint is different than the context of it in Jackson, although ultimately it has the same outcome. People are being harmed by, how can I phrase it? Shithead policy. There you go. That's the phrase, shithead policy. So this is in the Marble Channel. It was sourced from The Hill. And the title of this is Jackson Mayor. Federal infrastructure funding insufficient to address city's water system problems. Correct. But Jackson's is racially based, and Flint's is cheap bastards using perpetually old tech so that they didn't have to spend any money. And when they changed the direction of the water, the source of the water, it changed the chemistry in the pipes, which leached lead into everybody. Whereas Jackson is the culmination of policy marginalizing people, quote unquote, white flight, and then a mentality of, well, everybody left, and those that stayed don't matter because they aren't like me, so let them all suffer. Well, unfortunately, that is all sociopathic. Now, if we were to tax the ultra rich at the same rate that the middle class and lower classes are taxed as a ratio of their income, guess what would happen? There would be more than enough taxes in the system to support saving a community or providing ample opportunity to support the community, just like a $20 billion enterprise being thrown into Ohio. Why couldn't it have been thrown into, I don't know, Michigan somewhere? Well, it's because there is a rich community that footed the taxable bill, right? Ultimately, there is subsidies, there's benefits, there's something that is supporting a $20 billion over 10-year enterprise from Intel over in Ohio. I wonder what that could be. Let's look at the paperwork. I don't have it. We should probably look at it and figure out what the hell is going on. Why can't more opportunity be pointed in directions that save communities, or even say, hey, this community here, it's happened before where towns have collapsed. Totally understand that. But Jackson watched as it happened, and then policy went into effect that marginalized it more. Infrastructure funding is insufficient. Yeah, it's because billionaires don't become billionaires without private profit. So tax. We need taxes. It's sociopathic to not pay your fair share of taxes. Now, what is a fair share of taxes? Well, I don't know. Manipulated books that make it look like you are paying your fair share or don't have a taxable income. I don't know. Paying no taxes seems like it's pretty sociopathic for a corporation. Sure, you're paying payroll tax and other taxes, but you know, when you sell something on eBay, they take taxes out of something that you've already paid taxes on. I'm not a business, and you're charged taxes on the auction of an item, and they take it straight out of your auction. So why is it justified to take that out, but not for the IRS to look at what somebody's income already is? They know exactly what the income is because the payroll from the government, from the companies, are going to the IRS. So why aren't they just saying, okay, it's X amount? But no, when you look at the books, people are paying like 3% or 0%. There's a whole lot more to this nightmare. And I think it's stuff like this that makes things like saying there's insufficient funds in the federal infrastructure funding process to fix a city's water system. And it's not a small community. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, somebody might say it's a small community. It's over 150,000 people. And to me, that seems small, but it's 150,000 people, for crying out loud. And policy is what screwed it up. So why aren't the people being held accountable who made these decisions at odds with the survivability of this community? There's a lot of people talking about this. Olafimihan Ocean. One of these days I'll get that name right. Maybe I got it right. I don't know. 30 years of deferred maintenance and accumulated challenges associated with the city's water system. That's the problem. But it's not, because it's really racially based. We have committed the grand majority of our ARPA funds toward the infrastructure, not only at the water treatment facility, but distribution lines. Lumumba told Brennan. We've spent $8 million on one pipe alone in South Jackson. You know why? Because they know it's deep pocket government spending, which is disproportionately affected. One pipe alone to South Jackson. It's also critical for people to know that the city of Jackson didn't get $42 million at one time. Merely a little over a month ago, we got a second tranche of the funds. That's a slice. Lumumba told Brennan that his administration is committing the overwhelming majority to the city's funding to address the current water crisis. However, it's insufficient to meet the needs of nearly 30 years of deferred maintenance and accumulated challenges. Well, shocking. 21st century, it's 2022, and we're still dicking around with deferred maintenance of pipes and infrastructure, which well, let's just say a majority of the sociopaths that are saying, oh, well, it's their problem, are, don't fall into the camp. They're sociopaths. I use that word a lot because it's just so right of a character trait. I just watched a video where one of these wingnut people said that, global warming is caused by all of the things on the planet. So if a whole bunch of species die off, then it will save the Earth for the humans, which are the only thing that matters. And they even said, maybe I'm a sociopath. Yeah, it does. Makes you an idiot too, but whatever. Anyway, enough of that. Good luck to Jackson. It's one of those things where the 30 years of deferred maintenance and accumulated challenges really are predicated on ignoring things. And it could have been solved, except that the history is different people leading the charge of administration ignored it, pushed it off, said it didn't matter. Yet We're compensated, we're paid, exploited the system. Then go follow the money. Where are the past administrators that had fiscal responsibility, fiduciary duty to the people of Jackson? They got theirs and they left, right? Or they got theirs and they still have theirs and they're pointing at everybody saying, I got mine, bye-bye. Or, yeah, I'm really suffering with you because I'm in Jackson too, but they can afford to boil their water, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough for September 11th, 2022. This is the ohmTown Daily News Show. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com. Like, follow, subscribe, go become a citizen of ohmTown.com. Stop by tomorrow. I just realized that something says that the show is on at 11. It's not on at 11 anymore. It's on at 6 p.m. Eastern every day. And I haven't missed one yet. So here's to an asteroid not crashing into my office. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.